So tomorrow is Veterans Day, and I am here with a bipartisan group of leaders from across our state to announce crucial legislation to help our veterans and their families. Our military members put their lives on the line for our families, and we as leaders have a duty to ensure that those military families have the support they need, especially when our military members return home. And that means ensuring a great education and paths to good jobs so they can sustain their families. Today's legislation that we are talking about will do just that. This bipartisan legislation will support military personnel, veterans, and their families by reducing barriers to professional licensure. It will mean that veterans and service members and family members that have a professional license in a different state can become licensed here in Michigan without having to jump through a bunch of hoops. A number of the speakers here today are veterans, and they can tell you firsthand the challenges that our service members face when transitioning to civilian life. This legislation will make it easier for them and their family members, including their spouses and children, to obtain a professional license here in Michigan and build a good life in our state. Not only is this legislation important for our service members and their families, but it's really important for Michigan businesses too, businesses that are looking to connect with talent. When this legislation is passed, it will help our small business owners find the talent they need so that they can thrive in communities all across Michigan. It will help our economy by ensuring paths to good jobs and continued education for more people in our state. And it will help the brave men and women who have served our state build a good life for themselves. And while we recognize these brave men and women on Veterans Day tomorrow, we also need to renew our support and commitment to providing year-round support for veterans and their families. And I know that everyone here shares that goal. Tomorrow morning, I'll be visiting the new construction at the Veterans Home in Chesterfield Township. Our veterans' homes provide crucial long-term care for our veterans and their families, ensuring that they have access to quality, affordable health care, including mental health services, addiction services, and counseling when they return home remains a top priority for my administration. And I look forward to working with everyone here today and partners across the state to ensure support for that. As Commander-in-Chief of the Michigan National Guard, I want to thank all of the brave men and women who have put their lives on the line for others in this state. Whether you have served overseas on behalf of our nation or across the country or right here in Michigan, your work ensures the safety of Michigan families everywhere. And I want to thank our guardsmen and women who have worked around the clock to ensure COVID-19 testing happens in communities across Michigan. Our Guard members have helped distribute more than 14 million pounds of food at food banks, delivered tests and protective equipment across the state, and assisted with testing of more than 200,000 Michiganders for COVID-19. In May, when the Edenville and Sanford dams were breached, over 130 members of the Michigan National Guard arrived on the scene within hours of being called to assist, and they helped neighbors who were facing historic flooding. This crucial work has saved thousands of lives and will continue to save lives as we keep fighting this pandemic. We must all remember that this crisis is not over, and we must all continue working hard to protect one another from this virus. So to all of you watching from home, please remember to do your part by wearing a mask, practicing safe physical distancing, and washing your hands frequently. Please be smart and be safe. And with that, I'd like to invite Senator Bison to address you.
Thank you, Heather. And thank you all for joining us this afternoon. I am Senator John Bison. I'm a medical doctor who has been a doctor for over 40 years now, but also I am a military veteran. Was in the Air Force for a number of years with duty stations both in the country and out of the country. We find that the legislation that I'm going to be offering will expand fee waivers for the Public Health Code for current military members on active duty, as well as TDY status for veterans and their spouses and their dependents. Currently, veterans are eligible for initial licensing, registration, and application fees under the Occupational Code and Skilled Trades Registration Act. But the act that I have will be Senate Bill 1222, and it will expand that to include medical personnel. The statute changes the Public Health Code that would allow current military veterans and their spouses and dependents as well to be eligible for these fee waivers when applying for licensure in occupations regulated under the Public Health Code. We have a paucity of doctors here within the state. We can always use more doctors, more nurses, more technicians, and this hopefully will attract people who are very well qualified, who have had years of experience doing these things back here to our state. With these bills, we are helping our veterans and military families by removing the government red tape, preventing them from continuing their careers here in Michigan. Military spouses in professions that require licensure, as most of the medical professions will be left, can be left jobless with a sudden move to a new state, and we hope to minimize that trauma of those moves. These bills would help ease the transition and financial burdens by allowing military family members to pick up their careers and start over in Michigan without unnecessary delay. And so I am looking forward to being their sponsor of these bills. And behind me I have Senator Adam Olier, who is going to talk to you next.
Good afternoon. My name is Adam Olier. I represent the 2nd Senate District, and I'm currently a first lieutenant in the Army Reserve. This is a very personal issue for me. My wife is a clinical psychologist. If I were on active duty, she wouldn't be able to continue to do her job and take care of the patients that she's worked so hard for. I've got good friends who this is all too common. One of my very best friends is a captain. He does the same thing I do on active duty. He's a civil affairs officer. His wife has had to take the professional license exam in 4 different states on 5 different moves. And this last time has just decided that it wasn't worth it. It's unacceptable that the people who give so much, and when I talk about the people who are giving so much, it's our spouses and the dependents. Those are the people that have to move with service members. When I serve, I go to where I'm supposed to go, and my family stays home with their family and their support network. But if you're on active duty, you travel, and you travel every couple of years, and what we have seen is that military spouses and dependents can't continue to keep and maintain the employment that they have, and that's got to change. It's going to change with this legislation because we're going to make it easier for them to keep their license because they're licensed in another state and can move those things over. That's what we've got to do. We've got to make sure that the people who take care of those that we value the most are taken care of. This is going to make Michigan a real leader in this, and it's going to make sure that our service members and their families are protected going forward, something that we haven't done nearly a good enough job of doing. And that's to include more than just the spouses and the service members, but also their children. And when we talk about children, they are often the ones that are hit the hardest by family moves and by their parents being gone. And so I'm really excited that as a state, we are finally going to make military families a priority. So I'm excited about being able to introduce Senate Bill 1223 and looking forward to getting this bill to the governor for a quick signature. And I will be followed by Representative Sarah Anthony.
Well, hello, and thank you for the opportunity. My name is Sarah Anthony. I proudly serve as state representative for the 68th House District, which includes the city of Lansing and Lansing Township. You know, I'm so honored to be here on the eve of Veterans Day as a sponsor in this bipartisan, bicameral package supporting members of the military. Thank you to Governor Whitmer for her leadership and to my colleagues for this collaboration. You know, every year around this time, we pause to honor the service and sacrifices made by active military veterans, and their families. And for those of us who have never served in the military, we have only seen a glimpse of the courage and perseverance it takes to serve in the armed forces. But we can all understand the value of hard work, the meaning of family, and the strength it takes to weather the storm together, no matter where life takes you. The sad reality is that despite all that they have put forth on the line for us, 70% of veterans report significant difficulty finding a job and transitioning to civilian life. Because of the transitive nature of military life, service members and their spouses are required to move on average once every 3 years. One of the biggest challenges these individuals face is occupational licensing regulations, required for a variety of professions. We're talking about engineering and architecture and cosmetology. This legislation would make it easier for military members, veterans, and their spouses to secure good-paying, steady jobs right here in our great state. You know, in 2020, when we seem to be more divided than ever, I think that we should all be reminded that Michigan has always been a state that rallies behind the people who built it. I love the fact that today, this is a signal that we can spend less time grabbing headlines and more time really making headway into the issues that matter most to working families. You know, during my career as a legislative staffer, as a county commissioner, as a strategic thought partner with the Michigan Veterans Affairs Agency, I have witnessed firsthand how, you know, there's a sad reality that burdensome regulation can often interfere in making sure that residents get the services that they expect and deserve. And so as elected officials, I know that we can and will do everything we can to tear down bureaucratic red tape and ensure that our state government works for all people, including those who have sacrificed so much on our behalf. So thank you again for the opportunity. May God bless and keep you, and may God protect our men and women in uniform. Thank you.
Good afternoon, everyone. I'm State Representative Andrea Schroeder, and I represent the 43rd District in North Oakland County. And I am the daughter of former U.S. Army Captain Bruce McIntosh and Second Lieutenant Martha McIntosh. Tomorrow is Veterans Day, but what we're announcing here today will have a positive and lasting impact on our military heroes and their families every day, every year. Sudden transfers and moves are part of military life. Moving is stressful, and not just for the service member or the veteran, but for the entire family. Adding to the stress is the need for the spouse or other family member to find work in their new communities. The plan that we're detailing today will help many military families adapt to their new homes in Michigan by eliminating hurdles and bureaucratic red tape associated with transferring professional occupational licenses from one state to the other. Healthcare professionals, skilled trades experts, real estate agents, and many other licensed professionals will be able to find work and resume their careers more quickly if this plan becomes law. And they won't face the fees that are associated with new licensing or registration, including the application fee. This is a good plan for our military families, many of whom will be able to start their new lives more quickly and seamlessly because of this legislation. It's a good plan for the Michigan communities that will be strengthened by their presence. And it's a good plan for our economy, which will benefit from highly skilled workers filling high-demand jobs more quickly. I would like to thank the governor and the other legislators that are here with me today. This is a great example of how we can come together to accomplish a good for the common purpose of making Michigan an even better place to live, work, and raise a family. Thank you.
Good afternoon. I'm Orlean Hawks, the Director of the Michigan Department of Licensing and Regulatory Affairs. What a great way to honor our military personnel and their families on this day before Veterans Day with this proposed package of bills. I am humbled today to stand as a law director with our governor and our colleagues here as we roll out this important initiative. The legislation today is a meaningful step that we are taking to acknowledge those individuals and families who have served our country and recognize the talent that they bring to our state. Our department licenses and regulates nearly 2 million entities and individuals. This includes multiple programs that are governed under various public acts including occupations under the Occupational Code, the Public Health Code, and the Skilled Trades Act. Under Governor Whitmer's leadership, this administration has worked to make our state a great place for our veterans and active duty military personnel to live and to work. Within LARA, we have already partnered with Michigan Veterans, Armed Forces, and workforce organizations to provide licensing resources to those who are interested in the professions that we regulate. Examples of occupations that a service member, veteran, or their dependents could apply for, including plumbers, electricians, accountants, real estate, builders, professional engineers, medical directors, physician assistants, registered nurses, psychologists, social workers, and the list really goes on and on and on. In addition to the bills that our legislative sponsors have already spoken about today, LARA is also making a commitment to process completed license applications from our military personnel and/or their dependents within 48 hours. Like many families across the state and that we've heard about here today, my family as well has a history of military service. I look to my father-in-law as a key member and also a person that I look up to, and he served in the armed forces. That is why I am proud that LARA has been recognized as a veteran-friendly employer committed to military recruitment, training, and retention practices. Thank you, Governor Whitmer, for your leadership on this important initiative. I look forward to working with Director Adams, our legislative partners, my other colleagues, our stakeholders, and on this important issue to make sure that this initiative becomes law. Michigan is and will continue to be a place that honors those who have given so much for our country. I thank you for your time. Thank you.
Good afternoon. I'm Zanetta Adams, Director of the Michigan Veterans Affairs Agency, but more importantly, I'm a veteran and the spouse of a veteran as well. And so I understand the many barriers and obstacles that military members and their families face when transitioning out of the military, because I not only experienced many of those issues, but I also see those issues in my daily work as the director of the agency. It's important because we need to break down barriers that veterans face in employment, education, healthcare, and quality of life, making Michigan a great place for veterans and their families to call home. Now, the introduction of this bipartisan legislation and partnership shows our commitment, as well as the commitment that Governor Whitmer and the state of Michigan has made to ensure our veterans receive the benefits and opportunities they earn for having served our country. I'm continually proud of the collective work being done to bring military families to Michigan and keep them here. Thank you for your service. Happy Veterans Day, and happy birthday to the Marines. Thank you.
Well, good afternoon. I'm Major General Paul Rogers. I'm the Adjutant General for the state of Michigan. I'm also the Director for the Department and Military and Veterans Affairs. So on behalf of all veterans and on behalf of the military, I'd just like to thank everybody involved with this initiative. I specifically want to thank Governor Whitmer and her leadership, the entire state of government team within this administration, and all legislators for supporting veterans and service members across this state and across the nation. There's one thing that service members know, and that they will move every 2 or 3 or 4 years. They will move from location to location, from city to city, from base to base. That is a true commitment by that service member, but it's also a burden from the family members. So the spouses that are seeking employment while they're supporting their service member are disrupted every time they move. The reciprocity and the ability to move into the state of Michigan and not lose your professional career is so crucial to our families. We recruit service members, but we retain families. And I want to say that again. We recruit service members, but we retain families. Service members are able to serve because their family is cared for and they have the love and support of that family. So when spouses can maintain their professional advancement and move with their service member, that is so crucially important. So once again, on behalf of service members and veterans, I compliment the state of Michigan for this initiative. This will help Michigan compete for further Department of Defense investments in the state of Michigan, and it makes all of our families stronger. Thank you so much.
Good afternoon. My name is Lieutenant Colonel Karen Sims. I am the Deputy Commander of the Michigan Army National Guard Medical Detachment. Today is an amazing day to think about where this legislation goes. Understanding that our service members are highly trained personnel that bring a wealth of experience to the table, along with those service members are the families that come with them. It is inspiring to know that strategies are being implemented, making it easier to apply this equivalent to civilian, professional occupations for our veterans and the families. Our military community will greatly benefit from all that is being done to streamline the requirements for licensure. Being in the medical field, it is refreshing to know that our governor is supportive of us and recognizes the current regulations were barriers to bringing and maintaining talent in Michigan. This is very amazing, and our medical professionals and all those others that are in their respective occupations are going to greatly benefit. Thank you.